Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for September of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month. Well, Aquarius, Juno spends the month in Leo and is going to be there until mid-October, really lighting up your seventh house in a wonderful way. This is a great transit for you, whether you're single and looking or partnered. And even if you're partnered and unhappy, this transit can really help and support you to bring your relationship around into a better place. Juno usually spends about 2 months traveling through a given house, and she's going to be in this house until mid-October. The reason why Juno does so well in this house is because she is a goddess of committed relationship. She's very interested in finding what's fair and equitable between you and a partner. She likes to bring all of her social acuity, her diplomatic skills, and her partnership abilities to this house. And it's just a very fit domain for Juno. And so if you have a committed partner, this is a really good time to sit down and have those conversations about what are our agreements. Maybe even going as far as any vows that you've made to each other. What are we committed to around here? And how is that playing out in our everyday life? And how can we make it better? And how can we really stand on those vows in the life that we share together? So this could be an opportunity to get some things straight that have fallen by the wayside. This could be an opportunity to improve your relationship looking forward into the future. And this transit is also an opportunity for you to go out and meet people. And you do have to place yourself in social environments, of course, to meet people. But somebody rather attractive might be right there for you to meet and get involved with. So this is a pretty great transit for that too. Ceres is spending the month, begins the month in Libra, and she's been here for several months, so I'm not going to belabor it. But I do want to say that before Ceres leaves this house, you have absolutely got to harvest all of the great features of this transit. Now, the reason why Ceres loves to be in this house is that the ninth house is the house of her exaltation. She does the best here, and she is all about food, body, and money. And all of these things can expand and grow in wonderful ways while Ceres is passing through the ninth house. This is a house of what we believe and our growth process and our finding resilience and confidence. So, especially during this past year's transit of Ceres through, back into Virgo in your eighth house, if there were any financial messes that happened this year, now is the time for you to bounce back and move on. But most importantly, I think, when Ceres is in the ninth house is such a wonderful time for re-examining your beliefs about money and what you deserve. And to ask yourself, what am I worth? And to ask yourself, could I be worth more than I'm being compensated right now at work? And how can I reach down inside myself and find the confidence in my own worth to give me the courage to ask for more whenever it's appropriate to do that? Maybe when Ceres moves on into your 10th house, which is going to happen mid-month. So on September 15th, Ceres changes signs and moves on into your 10th house in Scorpio. Now, she's generally uncomfortable in Scorpio because things can get a little bit volatile when Ceres is in Scorpio, especially financially. Also, you may find yourself attracted to foods that you actually find somewhat addictive. The bad things that you eat, the junk food that you eat, you might find that stuff particularly compelling while Ceres is moving through this house. And you might have to work extra hard on your diet and your nourishment and your physical self-care while a Ceres is passing through the 10th. And that's partially because the 10th house is a house of effort. We got to put in an effort whenever any planet moves through this house. And whatever its themes are, we're going to have to work at those. Because Ceres has to do with food, body, and money, you might have to work to build your bank. You might have to work on your physical self-care, and you might have to work on feeling secure, feeling safe. Maybe it's time to install that alarm system that you've been wanting. But any way you look at it, actually doing the work should yield reward as long as Ceres is passing through your 10th. And she's going to continue here next month. Now, the last thing I want to tell you before tossing the ball to Julia is about Jupiter. Jupiter is traveling along through Taurus and in your 4th house. Now, this is Jupiter's all-time favorite house to be in. This is the house of home and family, and Jupiter brings so much joy and fun and lightfulness, lightness, and playfulness that, and also growth and expansion. So this is a wonderful time for several different things. One is, if you have difficulty getting along with your family, this can be a really great time for having that happen. And by the way, Jupiter is going to be here for a year. Jupiter spends about a year per house, bringing a year of luck according to that house's themes. So, if people ever tell you that they have no luck, don't believe them. Everybody has luck somewhere all the time. It's just a matter of finding where that luck is and harvesting it. So for you, this year's luck is in the realm of home and family. And that does mean a couple of things. One is you can get along better and grow in your relationships with family members, because it takes two to tango. And if you don't get along with a family member, there's probably some positive impact that you can have on that. If you can just, grow into it and figure out what it is. Jupiter can help you with that. And then another factor is, if you're feeling like your home, your physical home, is too small and you've outgrown it, or if you're feeling like you want, something that feels more grand and spacious, something more updated for the person that you are now, this is a really likely time for you to feel restless in your home, maybe even a little bit trapped, and like you want to look for something better, perhaps something bigger, and for you to look for a new place, and actually find one that suits your needs perfectly. So if you've been thinking about moving, this could be a great year for finding exactly the right next place for you. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Aquarians of the world?
Well, hey there, Aquarius. Let's start with Venus because she begins the month of retrograde, but she is pivoting direct on September 3rd, so very, very early on. So for the past few weeks, while Venus has been retrograde, you probably have been running into a lot of exes of yours because this has all been happening in your 7th house of long-term relationships. Maybe running into these exes is making you review your current relationship and think about, what went well and what didn't in the past. And if you're if you're single right now, you could just be running into exes and it's making you think, well, maybe I want my next relationship to be a lot different, or, there were some good things from back then. This could be a time, if you are single, that you reconnect with an ex as well, with Venus retrograde in the 7th. Now, after September 3rd, when Venus goes direct, this will actually be a much better time for dating new people if you are single and not interested in any of your exes. And if you are in a relationship, the rest of the month is just going to be a lovely, lovely time for it, where you're just going to be finding more harmony and peace with your partner. Now, the next planet I want to talk about is Mercury, who also starts the month retrograde. This cycle is happening in your 8th house of other people's money and research. So if you are researching something in your life, whether it's for school, whether it's for work, whether it's just in your personal life, Mercury retrograde, I don't jump to conclusions right away because there might be more to uncover. With that Mercury retrograde, you might have to go back on something. Since this is a financial house, there could be miscommunications about money. So if you're working with a financial advisor, if you're interacting with your bank a lot, there could be a lot of kind of screw ups and confusion over finances. So, try to cultivate a little bit of patience and be willing to have to go back over something, especially financial in your life. Now, on September 6th, Mercury conjoins the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day, and it's a time of revelations amidst all of this retrograde madness. So you could be having some aha moments into your money, especially shared finances like estates, inheritances, investments, loans, for example. Or maybe you get an insight about that thing you've been investigating about, really probing about too. Then on September 15th, Mercury goes direct in this house. For the rest of the month, it's going to be a fabulous time for being strategic about money, thinking about money, and making some good plans about it. Finally, Mars. Mars is the planet of action and activity. Wherever we have Mars is where we can be very, very driven, but also where we can run into some frustration. Mars is in your 9th house all month. This is a house of beliefs. It's a house of travel. It's a house of school and education too. So might be kind of a difficult month for traveling, especially with Mercury retrograde and Mars in your 9th house. There might be a lot of frustrations and delays along the way. Mars in the 9th house can also make you very pompous about your beliefs, maybe trying to broadcast them, being a little bit more arrogant about them, or even running into some fights over beliefs too. And if you are in school, you could be very driven by school right now, wanting to get a lot of work done, wanting to learn a lot of new things, but you could also run into some disagreements, maybe with your fellow students, maybe with your teachers. Maybe they reject your thesis and you have to kind of go back and redo it again, especially with that Mercury retrograde in the 8th. That could very well happen if you're working in school. But Mars in the 9th time is a great 9th house is a great time to go on an adventure, especially something physical. Go outdoors, go somewhere new, try something new, especially if it uses your body. And that can really help you access the higher manifestation of this transit so you don't run into all the more challenging parts of it too.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fascinating, but they're also not personalized for you. That's why we run live workshops monthly where you can get answers about your own chart. This month's topic is optimizing Mercury retrograde for writers, managers, and learners. Mercury retrogrades are notorious for making a mess of your office, your paperwork, your projects, and your brain. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this workshop, I'll explain how to handle this difficult transit just in time for back to school. This workshop is expressly for our Demigod Patreon subscribers who pay only $15 a month for access to live events like this one. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Well, let's dive into the moons. The first one is happening on September 14th. It's the new moon in Virgo. And we're calling this Seeds of Selfless Service because it is a new moon in Virgo, a great time for starting something new and for bringing a service orientation, for being humble and working hard. This moon opposes Neptune, which brings in emotional service, spiritual service as well, in a balancing act. And this moon is very involved with your financial axis. The 8th house, which is, of course, the domain of monies that you share with other people, and the 2nd house, which is the domain of money that is your own. I think during this moon, you're going to have to be careful that people who want your money may criticize you, may pick at you. Now it can be that the person that is represented by this moon could be somebody who is actually helping and supporting you and just needs more data from you, like, for example, your tax consultant or your insurer, for example. So that could be how it shows up, in which case, if that person is just trying to help you, then be sure to get them all the data that they need. And if you feel like they're trying to take from you, then you may have to hold a boundary. The other moon that I want to tell you about is coming later in the month. It's on the 29th. And this one is a little bit testy. And I say that because it's a new moon in Aries, which lands in your 3rd house. Full moon, in Aries. And full moons do tend to have high emotion. This one falls in Aries, so it could be rather, intense, pushy. There may be some frustrations that run high. There may be, your temper may run hot. And this moon landing in your 3rd house can absolutely, all of that like frustration and irritation can come out through your communications with others. So that's an important thing to watch out for. Just avoiding being hasty and impulsive and foot and mouth disease with how you're communicating under this moon. Now we're calling this one the sacred fire of self-care. And that's because Vesta in Cancer squares that moon, that rather feisty moon, and also the Sun and Pallas Athena in much more rational Libra that opposes that moon. And this Vesta in Cancer is all about focusing on self-care so that you can find a balance between what you want and need and what the other person is also needing, and how to balance that. So Vesta is I think going to help to strike that balance. So this could be conversations with a lot of really strong opinions, which might be yours or might be somebody else's. And then I want to tell you about the seasonal shift. At the beginning of the month, we have planets spread out over 3 houses. The 7th house with lots of relationship themes, pretty great relationship themes, and a cleaning up of some of that Venus retrograde stuff with Juno's help. And then as the month goes on, things are migrating on into the 8th house, bringing your attention into the realm of intimacy and mystery and psychological depths, and the ways that you share money with other people, and all of those really very emotionally charged topics. And then as the month comes towards the end, the sun moves on into the 9th house. And this can be like coming out from a dark cave when the emphasis leaves the 8th house, because that arena is so mysterious and deep, and it can be very emotionally heavy and very charged. So that as the planets migrate out into the 9th house, the mood lightens so very much here at the end of the month. Now, this is the house of growth and expansion. So this is a really great time for any growth process that you might be involved in, like taking a workshop. It can be a really great time for engaging in your faith or your religion in ways that lend meaning to your world. This is the house of the seeker. And it's also a really great time for traveling, exploring, and just growing as a person in general. And re-examining your worldview. So as the sun travels along through your 9th house over the 30 days beginning September 23rd, and this is the equinox too, and this might be a really great time for you to celebrate that. As the sun is traveling through this house, bring your high quality attention to the sources of resilience that you have in your life. And take another look at your worldview and ask yourself, how does this worldview that I have bring meaning to my life? And who do I share this worldview with? And how can we together, by believing in something greater than ourselves, find our way to happiness? It's a really great month for that sort of examination.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share these videos with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy the equinox, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.